Hey Space Sailors, welcome to the crew. I'm Sailor Janda, and this is my Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper. In the last episode, we started helping out this refugee flotilla. We are gathering food, water, and repair supplies for them, and we're going to have to try to find a way to smuggle those supplies to them through the Eyes blockade, so we will see how that goes. What a terrible fucking series of rolls. Alright, well, we have the re-roll, but let's see if we can get this done. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You delicately spin the spur, unwinding the sailcloth without it tearing. Bliss thumps you on the arm. She's impressed. That's it. You're done. Somehow the end is here. I just threw water on my face somehow. I'm trying to gesture triumphantly. Okay. The atmosphere in the airlock is euphoric. You and Bliss keep grinning at each other like idiots. Exhausted, blinded, sore, and aching idiots. Sleeper, that was incredible. She punches you on the arm. I never thought we were going to make it. Those idiots tangled the whole thing up like nothing I've ever seen. You make a good team. Bliss smiles a winning smile. As the lock's inner door clunks open, Moritz gives a rare whoop. He looks exhausted too, and for good reason. Moritz has been the one ferrying tools and parts back and forth from the ship. His tired smile tells you he's glad it's done. Sleeper, Bliss, he shakes his head. Impressive. When I saw that ship come in, I thought there was no way. Why, thank you, Moritz, she winks, for believing in us. Moritz rolls his eyes. You know what I mean. Take the compliment. He shoulders some of the gear that came back in with you and Bliss and heads to the racks to stow it. Bliss turns to you. I think you should be the one to do the honors. She nods to the ragged-looking console that Moritz assembled. I don't want to jinx it. She smiles, but you can see she is genuinely nervous. You glide over to the console and check the screen. It takes a second to see what you're doing through the flickering, cracked display, but after a moment you see the accounts. And there it is. Almost 1,000 cryo sat in the bay's transfer account. Well, Bliss calls. Have we been screwed again? It's there. Bliss kicks off from the floor and spins up into the bay, shouting as she does. The noise takes Moritz by surprise, and he knocks a rack of parts, scattering handfuls of metal fixings across the bay. The sight is something, glinting steel catching the work lights like glitter. Sorry, says Bliss, grinning when she comes back down. I needed that. She kicks off and joins you at the terminal. Moritz even managed to sell that produce. We made a tidy profit. Eventually. She laughs. Here. She loads a stack of blank chits into the terminal and transfers a chunk of the cryo to them. This is your cut. Bliss hands you the chits. Thank you for believing in this place. She looks away and smiles. Even when I couldn't. When you first met me, I was on the verge of giving up. Edge of giving up. All it would have taken was one more push. But now? Now this place is sparking again. Work's coming in, there are funds in the accounts, even Moritz is springing his step. You both look over at him, happily racking up tools. That's because of you. She punches you on the arm. He likes you. What's his deal? What, why is he always so quiet? She frowns. I'm not so sure. He doesn't much like to talk about himself, that one. She leans in closer. You know, he came here looking to rob the place. I gave him a job instead. She laughs. Don't tell him I told you that. I just thought it might help you understand the kid. Moritz turns to look at you, and both Bliss and you awkwardly wave. Maybe it's time to change the subject. What now? From here on out, it's going to be a little easier. I'm going to look for some component contracts, stuff that will keep us inside the bay, not out in the black. No need to risk our necks if we don't need to. You want to cash out, that's fine, but there will always be work for you here when you need it. I'll be back. She smiles, and then out of nowhere quickly gives you a hug. She steps back and glances around reflexively. Take care, she says softly. You too, Bliss. You turn to leave. And Sleeper? Yeah? She smiles. Don't spend that all at once. Ooh, 300 cryo, baby. That is nice. And now, okay, 6, and then another job comes in, but we can also just do basic jobs. Well, we'll worry about that later. We need to put everything we got into figuring this out. Hold on, algae. We'll just wait a second on algae. We're close on water. I think we're wasting algae if we don't harvest, so we need to harvest. Okay. You work carefully and attentively and managed to maximize the yield of the stack with little or no wastage. Excellent. Okay, so we do have to do that every turn. Okay. And then over here, yeah, we've only got 7 cycles left. We are cutting this really, really freaking close. Worst case, we lose some energy. I think we need to put every dice into this. A plus. Okay. Can I just bribe some people or something? I have 300 cryo now. Okay, there's nothing I can upgrade with 1 point anymore. Even if I wanted to. Alright. Have a rest. We're gonna be cutting it crazy close on this, I think. On the bright side, I now have unlimited stray feeding money. Hell yeah. Cat. Okay, yeah, we do have a couple other... I mean, we have 2 other things we could be doing in terms of these 2, but... we've pretty much got to put it all into this. There's no way otherwise that we're going to succeed. Oh no, wait, that's my hero harvesting thing. You know what, that's fine. We won't trigger the alarm even if we get a neutral result. Done. Tucked into a service corridor deep below the reservoir, Ash is double-checking the seals on the water tanks loaded onto the motorized trolley. Though you're far enough away from any thoroughfares not to worry about being overheard, you both still speak in hushed tones. How will you get these to the Briar? Ash glances back at you. We'll trolley this up to a bay further along, and then we'll bring in the Briar for a quick and quiet collection. Speaking of quiet, she gives you a look and then looks pointedly back down the corridor towards the reservoir before hitting the ignition on the trolley to start moving. You take the other side of the trolley and walk it up the wide service corridor with its flickering lights and Solheim detritus. You doubt it gets used by Havenage, at least that's the hope. You glance across at Ash, her face a mask of determination as she guides the trolley along. Maybe some conversation will make this journey go a little easier. How'd you meet Peak? Ash pauses, a little surprised by your question. She glances back down the tunnel, but in this deserted passage she can hardly keep up the pretense of silence. We grew up together, she answers quickly and turns back to the trolley, but she can tell you're expecting her to add more. She seems to gather herself for an answer, not wanting to ignore you, but trying instead to get her answer straight in her head. Our outpost, Hawthorne, is not an easy place to grow up. The administrators keep a tight hold of everything. She rolls her eyes, even though they're trapped in the same decaying installation as everyone else. Peak, she pauses. Peak found it harder than most. She pauses again, judging her words. I stepped in to help them out. Silence descends again, but you can feel the wheels turning in Ash's mind as the creaking wheels of the trolley take you along the corridor. Peak isn't the most practical of people. They used to be, well, they needed someone to teach them to look after themselves, stand up for themselves. And that was me, she smiles. After that, I couldn't get rid of him. Ash stops talking, but you see her eyes have lit up, and you imagine she's recalling some moment or other from her and Peak's past. You both reach a wide bulkhead doorway and have to stop to shimmy the trolley over the edge. When you're done, Ash turns to you. I'm good from here. Head back. And with that, she's gone, moving off into the dark tunnel ahead. You watch her go, and then turn around and walk the distance back to the staircase you entered from, the tunnel humming around you as you do. As you walk, you try to piece together Ash's past, but all you have are glimpses of a person she once was. She seems to prefer it that way. Clearly. Alright, harvest the food. We're easily on track for that. Let's try to get some free scrap. Is it just maximum +1? Looks like it. Well, 1, we're at 4, so I mean that's doable. The question is how much do we need for here, because this is oh, I shouldn't. Okay. Oh, damn. You tap into a broadcast detailing the order of operations for new crews assigned to the cordon. This is exactly what you need. Okay, I need food. Question, if it's just what we see currently, we're alright, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more still once we get the cordon intel. I'm pretty sure at least 2 more things are going to pop up, probably. And that's really going to push us hard. Although, to be fair, the water's done. The food will be done. We don't have a lot of time, though, but... yeah, food is there. Scrap isn't, but... let's see about this. This should handle it. Yeah. You have a sense of how the tug operations of the cordon work now. Time to make the most of your knowledge. Okay. 3? Oh my god. Alright. Crew canteen. Okay, deflect suspicion. Taking hardline attitudes, loudly arguing in favor of the quarantine, making friends with security. There's ways to deflect suspicion. And we could convince a crew, though. With division rife among the tug crews, gaining support for a supply shipment will just be a case of picking the right crew and approaching them discreetly. A crew willing to escort the Briar through the quarantine will give the ship a better chance of passing the cordon without any trouble. All across the cordon, Havenage security are keeping a close eye on things, gain their attention, and you'll struggle to maintain access. This was what? Havenage hangar. Slice thrusters. Oh. Oh, I can just steal thrusters from the tug, I see. The tugs have a powerful suite of ion thrusters for rapid maneuvering. If you can sneak in and slice some off, you'll have a significant upgrade for the Briar. The kind of thrusters the tugs use will give the Briar improved maneuvering, useful in the cramped quarters of the flotilla. And cordon operations. Some careful sabotage to the cordon systems should create a sensor gap that will allow the Briar to bypass the automatic quarantine systems. Creating a blind spot in the cordon's perimeter will give the Briar a better chance of evading detection when Ash makes her run. Okay. Start with this, because that's probably the hardest for us. You notice a crew sat apart from the others. Apparently they've been discussing smuggling supplies through the cordon themselves. Oof. Do we physically have enough dice for this? We only got 5 days left. We're really, really gonna be pushing it. Especially if they're all only one at a time. Perchance is there... okay, yeah. I don't think we have much choice on this. I'm gonna buy all the scrap I can right now. Which is 3, I think, but... we have the money, and... oh damn, a ship mine fragment. That's... arguably less helpful at this moment, actually. I mean, it's worth... at least what? I don't even know, it doesn't actually say. Probably 50 or something, but I don't think I have any need. I'll hold on to it. I don't actually think I have any need for more ship mine fragments, but okay. Let me grab. Actually, I think it's more optimal to sleep now. Buy food right after. Okay, so we're almost there in terms of getting the supplies. Doesn't really matter if I screwed up that much. Yeah, we're good. You managed to get a good draining, drying, and packing the algae is delicate and tiring work, but you managed to get a good yield. You look at the stacks and stacks of dried algae pucks. This should be enough to make a difference to the flotilla. You are leaning against the metal crates you just loaded up with algae, packed and dried into bright green pucks. Ash hops onto one beside you, flexing her aching back. I hope the refugees like algae. Ash squints at you as if you just interrupted her train of thought. It's a look you've become familiar with. It doesn't matter either way. This is what we've got, she sighs, rubbing the back of her neck. In these past cycles, working the algae stack with Ash, you've had little insight into her mind. She rarely seems happy to start a conversation and is always eager to end one. Despite this, you feel like something has grown between you, something like silent trust, the kind that tends to seed itself in the fertile soil of hard but necessary work. Concerned? Ash laughs. You could say that. She turns to face you. I think I'd be stupid to not be concerned about all this. She's right, of course, though it's hard to focus your concerns on one thing in particular. Can the refugees survive on the flotilla? What are Havenedge doing to help them? If the quarantine is lifted, is the eye really in danger? Each worry is far too large to even begin to process, to judge, and they mesh with other, more personal worries until you feel the anxiety growing in your chest. You look at Ash and are suddenly eager to speak, to talk about something, anything, rather than just sitting and feeling this growing weight. Why escape XPR? Ash pauses, her protective instinct fighting with the trust you've built. You can see her begin to shrug the question off, then she stops, rethinks, sighs. What you need to understand, Sleeper, is that Erland's Eye wasn't the only place where the Solheim collapse happened. Sure, Hawthorne, where we grew up, was an XPR installation, but that didn't screen it from Solheim going under. Actually, Solheim was the only reason XPR were ever here. She hesitates. She pauses, hesitant to get into the whole story, but wanting to offer something. Sorry. She flinches, correcting herself. They are a service corp, you understand? They set up outposts and surrogate systems like this to offer refueling, logistics, and maintenance services to bigger companies with extraction contracts. She gestures to the eye around her. Like Solheim. When Solheim went bust, XPR lost their client, and Hawthorne, well, we lost everything. We became an outpost tasked with just holding on. Keep the refueling platforms running, they said. Keep the outpost stable. Hold on to our claim. She rubs her head as if recalling all this was somehow physically painful. You know what it's like to spend your entire life in a place with no future? A place that exists only to hold a legal claim to a piece of territory? To shore up breach of contract negotiations between two corporations? It's like living in a... She searches for the word, her eyes jumping back and forth. In a grave. She clenches her hands. So if you are looking for the answer to why questions, that's your answer. We, Peek and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked out. She stares hard at the side of the stack, the algae whirling against the glass in beautiful patterns, and she doesn't look away. The silence extends, and you realize the conversation is over. Ash seems angry, not at you, but with herself for even voicing such ideas. After a while, you stand and start to load the crates onto the powered cargo trolley that Ash will run back to the Briar. As you do, you try to catch her eye, but she avoids it, soothing herself instead with the comforting simplicity of physical work. Okay, well, we nailed both of those things. We're almost there on scrap. Obviously, this has to be the priority, and we do not have a lot of cycles to do it. We're gonna try to talk this crew into this. And we only have a +1 there. We have better than that here. Let's see, was it 6 for all of these? 6. It was 6 there. It's 6 here. Okay. Oof, at best +1, huh? Here 2. I guess we just do them one at a time then. There's not really any point dividing it up, honestly. Get each one done and then move on to the next one. Oh, I also only have 6 scrap, I forgot. I was thinking I should have 7, but no, those idiots just gave me, a ship mind fragment, which is worth way more, but not, like, to me at this moment. also need more stabilizer. I'm gonna have to just buy it, which is okay. Again. A rapid burst of movement catches your attention. A drone, its fins adjusting as it hovers in place, floats in the corridor. Hello? The drone shifts a little, but does not respond. The drone buzzes closer, and a voice gurgles out of its speaker, distorted and strange. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. Who is this? The drone clicks and whirs, and the recording starts playing again. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. You move closer, and the drone bobs away to a safe distance, but as it does, you see the HA of Havenage emblazoned on its side. Could this be Feng's drone? Satisfied it's delivered its message, the drone rotates and accelerates away as rapidly as it arrived. You stare at it as it disappears from sight, hoping for some insight that escapes you. To the cordon, then. I wonder if Feng is going to try to talk me out of all this. If they are a real threat to the station, then he might. And then that's going to be a difficult moral decision, I guess. What's up? As you enter the passage that leads through the cordon, a flash of movement catches your eye. The drone. It stops to make sure you've seen it, and then flits into a side passage leading to a set of narrow stairs. You climb up through a dark shaft, the drone stopping at each landing to check you're following. Despite its lack of expression, there's something overbearing about the way the drone waits, impatiently realigning its fins in sequence. After a long climb, you come out onto an observation platform. The cordon and the vast ramshackle refugee ships beyond fill your vision. The scale seems impossible, and immediately you feel small and naive for even thinking you could affect this situation. Something shifts nearby. The drone again? A woman is standing at the window at the edge of your vision. You aren't surprised you didn't notice her. She too seems impossibly small in the shadow of the flotilla. The drone buzzes by her shoulder, and she turns. Helene. Sleeper. Sorry for all the cloak and dagger nonsense, she nods at the drone, but I have never regretted being cautious. She smiles a tight smile and holds out a hand. I'm Helene. The tight smile holds. The drone keeps its single eye fixed on you. The effect is a little unnerving. Look. She glances around the empty observation deck as if checking for potential eavesdroppers. Let's be straight with each other. I know about your plans, and... She cuts in before you can respond. I understand your motives. You look at her in your overalls, the yellow markers, the HA sigil. You've been on the eye long enough to recognize a Havenage member when you see them. Your Havenage? Yes, I mean, I expect that is obvious. The tight smile again. I hope you won't hold that against me. She glances around nervously again and moves a little closer. This entire situation, I am not here to defend it. She glances back at the flotilla. No one is happy about this. Yeah, especially not the refugees. She sighs. I'm not your enemy here, no matter what you think. She pauses. Sleeper, tell me something. What does Havenage mean to you? Fresh start. Surprising, Sleeper. She smiles, but not unwelcome. Havenage is used to being criticized. In some ways we invite it. Our members are free to bring up grievances at any meeting, to propose new structures and approaches. She shifts her weight impatiently. As a counselor, it's my duty to listen to them. That's why I was elected by the members. We're an imperfect system, yes, and each counselor, each member, each representative can be flawed and worse. She looks down. But we keep this place running. That's what we do. And the flotilla? She turns and looks out at the clump of fractured ships. The flotilla is a problem. Can the Eye take in thousands of refugees safely? I don't know. This place is a ruin, Sleeper. What do you think the Council discusses? The price of gear oil? We make plans to keep this place spinning, to keep life support working, to ensure... Helene's slate chirps and a grim look passes across her face as she sees the notification. She looks tired, the screen light casting a rigid expression and a pale glow. Sleeper? I didn't bring you here to explain how Havenage works. I came to talk about your plan to cross the cordon, breach the quarantine, and supply the flotilla. She looks directly at you. How'd you know? She glances at the drone. I'm making my job to know what happens here. I know you're thinking you're helping the flotilla, but you cannot do this. Right now, halfway along the ring, one of a countless series of debates are being held. These debates are to evaluate the potential harm that can be caused if the refugees of the flotilla are left to enter the station. These debates are at a standstill. Helene walks to the window. Too many in the Havenage Council think of the flotilla as a threat. After recent events, a hardline group has emerged. Protective. Selfish. They seek only to benefit the members. In their mind, the flotilla is a danger to life on the Eye. If you're caught crossing the cordon and breaching the quarantine, it will only strengthen the hardline councilor's cause. Criminals who stole the ship from XPR, undermining the security of the station. She shakes her head. It's exactly what they want. The refugees need supplies. They do, and that's exactly what I want to give them. But unless the quarantine is lifted through a fair process, they will never get them. She sighs deeply. And those XPR spacers you're running with? Sleeper, do you know anything about them? More than I know about you. She looks at you pleadingly. Let's change that, Sleeper. Why do you think the refugee flotilla came here now? Something is happening in the system. Something's pushing people out of colonies and outposts that have survived since Solheim collapse. We need to be ready for whatever's coming. Ready to protect the Eye. I know the Eye means something to you. I know there's a reason you're still here. Help me protect it. Helene fixes you with a strong look. Persuade those spacers that this is the wrong move, that they will get caught and the flotilla will be locked down, that Havenage will be delivered into those with the worst instincts. Forget this suicidal supply run with people you barely know. Help me fight for the Eye. Why don't you stop them? If I expose the plan, it's the same as if it goes ahead and they're caught. Every way I look at it, the Eye looks compromised, the quarantine justified. The hardliners get their scapegoat. Don't offer up the excuse the hardliners need to lock the flotilla out altogether, to persuade the members they're the safest pair of hands. She looks at you imploringly. Please. You look back at her and the flotilla behind and sense a desperation in her plea. A notification breaks the silence. Shit. She rapidly scrolls through pages of data. Sleeper, I need to go. She looks torn. Think about this, please. Talk to the spacers. Help them see reason. And she quickly leaves the observation deck before you have time to respond. You stay for a moment, watching the lights of the tugs in the flotilla, and wonder what it feels like to be on one of those ships, so close to your destination and yet so far from it. And then you think of the Havenage Council chamber across the Eye, where the right of these people to find safety is being debated. You shiver, and then you too are gone, back into the stairwell in the cold dark below. On the one hand, she has a point, of course. I can't even talk to them right now if I wanted to. Let's put it this way. A supply run is a temporary solution, right? They will need supplies again eventually. And if it does lock out the possibility of a peaceful political solution, that would be considered real bad. That said, I think we need to be ready to, at least ready to go ahead with the plan. Oh boy. Well, we got the escort. You ever hear a crew member arguing against the quarantine but are noticed listening in? People are getting suspicious. Nonetheless, we got the ship. You meet Peak leaning in a corner of the canteen in their typically unassuming way. It occurs to you as you approach that Peak must have had some practice at staying invisible. I think I need a slightly better promise from the Havenage Council woman is what I'm getting at, basically. Like, there's no clear plan for how to progress this, and the refugees are just gonna straight up starve to death, so... All good? They look up from their slate. That crew you were talking to. They nod to the group leaving the canteen. Will they join us? They'll do it. Nicely done. Peak beckons for you to follow as they peel off the wall and head out into the walkway overlooking the cordon. Glad you were here to talk them into it. I never had much of a way with people. Peak smiles and looks away quickly as you walk. You and Esh seem to do okay. Peak laughs their light and easy laugh. Esh is not really like other people, which you've probably noticed. If only everyone was like Esh. They fade off, something drawing their attention. What I mean is, people have caused me a lot of trouble. I've had people hate me without knowing a thing about me. They tuck their hair behind an ear. I'm sure you know the feeling. I do. Peak glances at you. Sorry to hear that. It marks you, am I right? Try not to think about it. Peak nods. Don't let me make that any harder. Peak leads you around a corner, heading back to the main cordon accessway. I appreciate you coming in and helping us out on this, Sleeper. On talking to the crew and, well, you know. Maybe after this insane plan is done, we can talk properly. They keep looking ahead and you realize they're nervous. I'd like that. Peak smiles, looking down at their feet. That's settled then, they say to the floor. I better report the news to Esh. We have ourselves a tug escort. Peak stops at an intersection. See you soon, sleeper, and please, take care. And with that, they drift away, their head down, their gait changing as they do, their practiced invisibility shrouding them like a cape. Okay, we're done here. Well, I can reduce suspicion there, actually. This is the only place I can reduce suspicion. Pretty much. And it is universal, too. Okay, well, let's get on slicing thrusters. In the absence of anything else to do, I'm just going to keep progressing the plan. Ooh, that's not so great. Okay, there's no way we could possibly use that one for this. We're going to use it for... Pretty sure the worst case here is still that we just get energy. Yeah. Okay, I am eager to see how this concludes. We've only got a couple days left, but I'm going to call it for today. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And have a good night. This is Sea Lord Janda, signing off.